In furtherance of the local content developmental strides by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board under the leadership of the Executive Secretary, Engineer Simbi Wabote, is not resting on its oars but striving to maximize on the capacity and capability of the local content opportunities and potentials in Nigeria's oil and gas industry, with a goal in the next 10 years to push for a phenomenal growth up from the current 26% to 70% value retention by 2027. Since assumption of office, the Executive Secretary, Engineer Simbi Wabote, crisscrossed the nooks and crannies of Nigeria on facility visits together with some industry stakeholders on his fact-finding mission. The Executive Secretary saw world-class fabrication yards, plants, factories, and training facilities of varying sizes and sophistication. He saw firsthand the state of the industry and in addition gathered data and made a categorical statement that there is no oil and gas input we cannot deliver in country.
And I think it's a statement of fact. It's not a theory, because on assumption of office, the first thing I did was to tour around the country to look at capacities that have been established. And I came to that conviction because taking up this portfolio, most project promoters will come and argue with you that capacity does not exist, the contractors are not up to speed, but you need to be able to authoritatively speak back to them on what does exist. So with that visit, I was convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that Nigerians can indeed do everything that we do in the oil and gas industry. But I am not disputing the fact that there are some items that are original equipment manufacturers. These are patented items. You cannot force a localization of that. Those things still exist, but majority of the work that you do in the oil and gas industry can be done by Nigerians if they are adequately supported with funding, and we are able to, as quickly as possible, as this administration is focusing on.
With the local supply chain capacity and capability, which has been built in Nigeria's oil and gas industry in the last 8 years following the signing of the Local Content Act into law. To further deepen the local content development strides, the Executive Secretary and his team also pushes for the necessary exposure to attract investment opportunities on the global stage to enhance the sector. In May 2017, the annual Offshore Technology Conference OTC 2017, which is a one-stop show of oil and gas sector, featured Nigeria's oil and gas industry, and the NCDMB was not left behind. Indigenous oil players and government functionaries were present. They include the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ibe Kachuku, the Bayelsa State Governor, His Excellency Sarah K. Dixon, amongst others. The Executive Secretary embarked on the journey to OTC 2017 in Houston, Texas, United States of America, to see firsthand the level of growth the Nigerian industry has attained with a healthy competition with oil majors by showcasing new technologies, oil services, expertise, solutions in the sector, which in the long run attracts investment opportunities to Nigeria's oil and gas sector.
First, let me welcome everybody who's found time to come to OTC for this year. I understand that cotton is symbolic to hopefully getting more wells. I have the honor and pleasure on behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, to declare this fair open and let you all into the realm of possibility.
The Executive Secretary of the NCDMB, Engineer Wabote, when answering questions at the OTC 2017 from journalists, he touched on the importance of local content to the economy and employment's future plans for the board to deliver optimally.
It's a catalyst to creation of employment in our industry. Even though the oil and gas industry is not a huge employer of labor because of the high technology that's involved in it. The high-end technology today, a lot of Nigerians are participating in it. The bottom line is to retain the foreign exchange and the brain drain we have had in the country in the oil and gas sector till today. So there's no gainsaying. Significantly, if you go back to the country today, most of the oil and gas industry are headed by Nigerians. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they were all expats. Today, Nigerians have taken over. In the oil service sector, 99% of that activity is managed by Nigerians. So significant benefit and a catalyst for employment. Significantly, we have reduced the expatriate numbers. Like I said to you before, all the oil majors in the country were headed by expats in the past 10 years. But today, as we speak, the expats only occupy 5% of the leadership of most of those organizations. So it's significant. We've come a long way as a country. Today also, most of the fields are being operated by Nigerians. Like you know, most of the oil majors got into divestment. Nigerians bought those assets. They've ramped up those assets and come up with significant production. For instance, when Seplat took over the asset from Shell, it was doing 30,000 barrels a day. Today, Seplat has been able to bleed that asset, and today you have about 75,000 barrels per day production. That is a significant achievement in the oil and gas sector. So we're making good progress, and I believe it's the right way to go.
The Executive Secretary didn't mince words about the funding challenges experienced by local content players and drivers, which includes indigenous players in country, and harped on the need to raise an intervention fund to assist indigenous oil players who are striving to be at par with oil majors.
In every facet of life, there are challenges, but the challenges are also opportunity. It depends on how you look at it. Some people look at the glass half empty. I look at the glass half full. So those challenges can be turned to an opportunity, and those are the things that create the opportunity for Nigeria. So I don't see them as obstacles. I see them as opportunities. So in everything you do, there are those kind of challenges, but it's the ingenuity in Nigerians who overcome those challenges and turn them to an opportunity. And that's what we're doing in the local content fair.
Okay, can you cite
some of the challenges are funding. Most of the local businesses struggle with funding to sustain their business because of high interest rates in the banks. Those are challenges, but NCDMB is also trying to come to the rescue through the Nigerian Content Fund to see how we fund local businesses to provide services for the oil and gas industry. Those other challenges is also in the area of technology because we started local content a bit late in the game, and as we're moving on, the advanced countries are also enhancing their technology. It's how we catch up. It's also some bit of a challenge. And then I think the other piece again is linkages, inter-agency linkages, particularly in the various ministries and parastatals, where some of the policies also impede some of our agenda. But we are working all those through. So, of course, you also know the infrastructural challenge in Nigeria. Power is a challenge, which the present administration is actively working. Our road infrastructure is also a challenge. So those are some of the challenges that are perhaps slowing down our progress in local content development. But they are also an opportunity for all the sectors to also flourish.
Okay. So are you saying there is synergy between or among the stakeholders, oil players, both indigenous and international oil companies?
Indeed.
Is there synergy to promote local content?
Yes, there is. Initially, when we started this journey, there was some bit of resistance. But today, as I speak, they have also come to see the benefit of bringing down costs, the benefit also of security of supply. So I think they've synergized properly with the local content agenda, and some of them are actually promoting it because they see the benefits.
A few months after the Executive Secretary mentioned in an interview in the US that the board will soon raise an intervention fund to downplayed the financial challenges faced by the indigenous players in country, it was not lip service after all. The Executive Secretary and his team put their best foot forward to ensure the board's dream of assisting local oil and gas players financially. Upon arrival to Nigeria, all hands were on deck for the launch of the Intervention Fund led by Engineer Simbi Wabote.
I am delighted to welcome you all to this MOU signing ceremony between NCDMB and the Bank of Industry for the implementation of the Nigerian Content Intervention Fund. This is a very important event in the history of NCDMB because it marks the crystallization of our efforts and plans to address the persistent funding challenges that has stifled capacity development in our country and growth of our local service providers and other indigenous players in the oil and gas industry. It is not common to find major players in the oil and gas industry and beyond gathered in the same room in support of Nigerian content. Thus, my speech will go beyond a simple welcome address, as I intend to utilize this opportunity, which is rare, to espouse a bit on our Nigerian content journey, just to give some background to the essence and criticality of the Nigerian Content Intervention Fund. My address, therefore, will be in three parts. I will highlight the activities and achievements of NCDMB in the last 7 years of its existence. Then I will focus on our 10-year vision and strategic initiative to achieve the vision. Lastly, I will talk about the challenges we face and what we are doing to address those challenges. The Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act was signed into law in 2010. Before then, all fabrication, engineering, and procurement were done abroad, which resulted in estimated capital flight of about $380 billion in 50 years. Estimated job loss opportunity was in the region of 2 million. The narrative then was that nothing could be done in country. Over time, we found to be detrimental to the economy and thus leading to government efforts to stem the tide, to give legal backing to the directives and provide an all-encompassing framework for the development of Nigerian Content Act was enacted in 2010. Under the Act, the board's mandate can be broadly classified into two. First is to develop capacity of local supply chain for effective and efficient service delivery to the oil and gas industry without compromising standards, and secondly, to implement and enforce the provisions of the NOGIC Act 2010. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since the inception of NCDMB, we have been consistent in promoting the development and enforcement of the local content implementation in the oil and gas industry, leading to some key achievements, and I would like to mention just for the few. Before the Act, we had an annual